Is this trade one of the, if not the worst trade in the history of the Toronto Blue Jays franchise? We're going to get into it. There are those that are ready to put it right there, and maybe that's recency bias. Right now, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and Gabriel Moreno are helping to lead the Diamondbacks to the World Series, a Blue Jays team that can't get out of their own way, can't win a postseason game. These guys are now in the World Series, so there are a lot of fans that are there, and there are a lot of fans that are saying, hold on, it's too early to judge. Gurriel's going to be a free agent. We don't know what Moreno's career looks like yet. But to both sides, I would say there's something there. I went back, I looked at the history of the Toronto Blue Jays trades, and it's in the conversation. It's already, and it hasn't even been a year since the deal went down. It's already, in my opinion, at least a top 10 in the worst trades. And it is vying for a top 5 position, considering all of those factors we talked about. The Blue Jays' recent playoff failures. The fact that these two guys leave and they are having such success and they are key components to the team. If these two aren't on the team, maybe Arizona's not still playing. So we are going to get into this, and we are going to talk about the Varsho trade, Gurriel, Moreno going to Arizona, and then comparing it to 5 other Blue Jays trades. And then we're going to figure out which one. You will let me know which trade you think. What's the worst? Where does this one come in? Make sure to subscribe, everybody, if you have not yet. And let's get into this thing. The product that the Blue Jays got back seemed to actually get worse this year and not get better. When you look at his 2022 numbers to 2023 numbers, you see the OPS, the slugging, the batting average, the power, everything going down despite pretty much the same amount of plate appearances. He's very good in the field. He's a very good base runner. He's good at bunting. They got him bunting with an out. That sacrifice to become the second out in an inning is almost an indictment on how the team feels Daulton Varhso can perform with the bat swinging away. He doesn't hit the ball hard, and it is costing him. Now, he didn't hit the ball hard in 2022 either. We see the barrel rates, you see the hard hit rates. It's not good. It is well below league average. We were sold that this was going to be a 5-tool player, that he's a great baseball player. We didn't see that. We saw a guy that can run, and we saw a guy that can play the field. For what the Blue Jays gave up, what looks to be a budding star in Gabriel Moreno, the guy's got to be able to do more than just field and run the bases. But again, where does this stack up all time? Let's take a look at some of the worst trades that the Blue Jays have ever pulled the trigger on, and we will compare, and we will find out where this thing lands in the all-time ranking of worst trades for the Blue Jays. First up, David Cone was traded to the New York Yankees back in 1995. The Jays quickly realized in 95, coming out of the strike, that they were not going to be a contender. And it was ugly in Toronto after the strike. So Cone was dealt and went on to be a part of 4 World Series championship Yankee teams. What did the Blue Jays get back? Marty Jansen, Mike Gordon, and Jason Jarvis. 3 guys you met at the bar last week. Let's keep going to John Olerud. Olerud had been great for the Toronto Blue Jays. And you could argue he was just entering his prime, coming off of his age 27 season, but the Blue Jays were transitioning into a rebuild. Now, it would be nice if you're transitioning into a rebuild when you trade David Cone away, when you trade John Olerud away, you get some good prospects back. Scouting department, come on. Olerud would be dealt to the Mets. He would have some very good years with the Mets and the Mariners after that. What did the Blue Jays get back? Robert Pearson, who sucked. No other way to put it. 8.13 with a 6.18 ERA with the Blue Jays. How about Shawn Green in 1999? The Blue Jays sent Shawn Green to the Dodgers along with Jorge Nunes. Green would go to the Dodgers and have some very nice seasons. 2 more 40-homer seasons. He was one of the most durable players in the league when he was with the Dodgers. Posted an OPS of 876 in those 5 years with LA. The Blue Jays would get Raul Mondesi and Pedro Borbon back Now, at least it's a name here. It's somebody you've heard of with Raul Mondesi. But 2 years later, Mondesi was traded to the Yankees for Blue Jays legend Scott Wiggins. Love going to Rogers Center on the weekend and seeing Scott Wiggins' name and the level of excellence. Let's move on to Roy Halladay. It was inevitable that he was likely going to leave. They actually got some good names in this deal. Guys that you'd heard of. Guys that were top prospects, and you should, for Roy Halladay. They got Kyle Drabek, Travis d'Arnaud, and Michael Taylor. Kyle Drabek was a mess with the Blue Jays, 8-15 over 39 games with a 5.27 ERA. Travis d'Arnaud never saw the field, was spun off in the deal to get R.A. Dickey, and Taylor never played with the Jays, only 37 games, period. So that didn't work out. And then what most believe to be the worst trade in the history of the organization is the Michael Young trade, trading him to the Texas Rangers back on July 19th, the year 2000. Michael Young will go on, 7-time All-Star, 2,300 plus hits, won a batting title, 13 years for the Rangers. The Blue Jays, in return, would get Esteban Loaiza, who was bad. 2.5 years with the Jays, an ERA near 5. That's what they got from Michael Young, a guy that went on and is a Texas Ranger Hall of Famer. Now, there are other trades constantly talked about among Blue Jay fans. We take a look at the Alex Anthopoulos trades leading up to the deadline a few years back when they acquired David Price and Troy Tulowitzki, and you see the pieces they gave up, and nothing really came back to bite the Blue Jays. Daniel Norris, Jairo Laborde, Matt Boyd, Jose Reyes, Jeff Hoffman. Jeff Hoffman's good now, but it took him a long time to figure it out. Miguel Castro, Jesus Tinoco. So those are two hot-button trades, and neither of them really hurt the Blue Jays. Two more trades that are constantly talked about and always at the top of the mind. The R.A. Dickey trade with the Mets, where they sent d'Arnaud and Thor, along with John Buck, and the 11-player trade with the Marlins, where they got Mark Burley, Jose Reyes, Emilio Bonifacio, Josh Johnson, John Buck, for Escobar, Hechavarria, Alvarez, Marisnik, Nicolino, and Desclafani. For the most part, none of these trades really hurt you when you look back. Yes, Syndergaard had some good times with the Mets, but that ended rather quickly, and we've seen how his career progressed. You could argue, though, that Jays and Mets trade belongs in the top 10, because maybe Syndergaard develops into a completely different pitcher with the Blue Jays than he did with the Mets. Who knows? So where does this thing rank? I would say that this is definitely in the conversation of top 5 worst trades in the history of the franchise, with room to grow to easily a top 3 or even number 1. You guys, I want you to comment below and let me know what you think. What's the worst trade out of this group? The Diamondbacks trade for Gabby and Lourdes, the Rangers trade with Michael Young, the Phillies trade Roy Halladay, the Dodgers trade Shawn Green, the Mets trade John Olerud, the Yankees trade David Cone. What's the worst in your mind? Is there one that comes to mind that I did not bring up here? What's the worst trade the Blue Jays have made? And if you don't think that this Diamondbacks trade is the worst, I would agree with you, number 1. And number 2, I want you to tell me, where would you put this Diamondbacks trade? Comment below and let me know. Where does this fall all time for the Blue Jays? I argue it's top 5. That's it for this one, everybody. Ballcap Nation, I salute you. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Stay close to the channel. You made it to the end, so reward yourself with a free subscription to the channel. Thank you for coming in, and I'll catch you next time.